Hello, my name is Opal Singleton. I'm the president and CEO of an organization called Million Kids. It is millionkids.org, and we are dedicated to keeping kids safe from predators. Well, today I received an email from a father asking me for some advice. He's saying that they have some children, and one of them is old enough to now go online, and they want to make sure that this young person, that appears to be a young lady, is responsible. And they want to be able to have the right kind of dialogue with that child. And that got me to thinking that that would be very, very helpful for many parents. And that's what this is all about. So many things have changed since our kids went online. And this might be a healthy conversation for you, even if your children or your grandchildren are already using social media or on some sort of online communication. So in talking with your child, one of the first things I think is that we have to be very, very positive. You know, I've heard it all. I've been doing this 15 years and I've heard it all from the kids. Oh, Mom, I'm going to know if I'm being catfished. That's what they'll say, you know. It's not going to happen to me. I'm smart. I'm not going to do that. Or they get very defensive because they think they're going to lose the device or they're going to be grounded or, get in some sort of trouble. And I get all of that. All of that is absolutely normal. But I think that it is time for us to, first of all, educate the parent about exactly what has taken place in the last couple of years and what can be done about it so that your kid can be online safely if there is such a thing. Now, certainly I'm for all the filters. I'm for checking a kid's phone. I think young people need to be responsible. A phone is an interesting thing, or an iPad. It's an interesting thing because our kids think of it as they're linked to society, if you will. There's social interaction. Many kids, they will direct message literally tens of times a day, sometimes hundreds of times a day, where they're talking with their friends, or they're online and they're playing a video game of some sort. And they're talking to people all over. They're looking at YouTube videos, but a lot of them are looking at TikTok videos and like that. So for our young people, they don't see it as maybe the adults in the room would see it, okay? Because they think of it as their social life. It's no different than going to school. I see young people sit around where they're standing within 6 feet of each other, texting back and forth. It is how they are taught to do it. So right off the bat, you're going to get some sort of feedback that might be negative because they're like, Mom, you don't understand, or Dad, you don't understand, or you're just being overly protective or whatever. It's not going to happen to me. I'm smart and I'm going to know if it's happening. Well, I get all of that, okay? I really, really do. And we've seen many cases, if you follow me and kids, where this has gone wrong. But there are tens of thousands of kids that are online that don't end up being violated. But some of them have some close calls and some scary situations. But quite frankly, I'm going to tell you that all changed a couple of years ago. And this is the reason why I think that you need to sit down and have an honest conversation with your kids. So I think, first of all, the thing to do is approach it on a positive level. I want to sit down and talk with you because I've learned so much of lately of all that is happening out there, the changes that are going on in technology. And I kind of want to get your feedback, your input about what you think that means. And I also want to share with you some of the things that I've seen, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but kind of level the playing field, if you will, rather than parent talking down to child. Let's have two adults looking at each other in the eye, having an honest conversation about technology. if they feel that it's not threatening, that you're not there that to fish out, what they've been doing behind your back, or if they have some sort of device on their phone where they're hiding things from you, which most kids do sooner or later. But I really think it's an honest conversation to sit down and talk about how all of this has changed. Now, most of you know I'm about to release my ebook. If you have not bought the ebook, when it comes out, it's called Digital Warfare: Our Kids on the Front Line. If you're not familiar with it, we're going to be doing a bunch of promotion on it. But if you don't really know all the changes that are taking place out there, I highly recommend you buy that book and get yourself up to date. But let me give you kind of the short version of this whole thing. I understand that kids have been online for a long time, but what they may not realize, and I'm going to tell you that I think 98% of the world doesn't seem to comprehend what is going on here, is that in 2022, the entire world became connected by internet. We hear about it all the time, 5G, high-speed internet. And it isn't just in the US anymore. It's in developing countries all over the world. And that's really important for your child to understand. The basis of the book, Digital Warfare, is what it means to live in a globally connected world. And very few parents are really thinking that up, let alone kids. And so we need you to sit down and kind of paint the story for your kids. And that means you yourself have to become educated. But think about what that means. Countries like Nigeria and Ivory Coast and Pakistan, Cambodia, Myanmar, Malaysia, very small developing countries that are very poor. And they have never been able to go online before because they didn't have the latest equipment. But now 5G has gone all over the world. It's kind of like when they developed telephones all over the world. In the early days, you couldn't call overseas, or if you did, it was very expensive and very difficult and didn't have all the good technology with it. And it was like that with the internet. But now these countries all over the world can come online with the exact same type of equipment that we have. At the same time that the world became globally connected, there were several new technologies that came out that really, really changed everything. And it changes everything for your child. So think about this a minute. In the past, if you wanted to send money online, you went and got, well, you might use PayPal, but most likely you went and got a gift card, or your kid purchased a gift card. But then your kids started going online with gaming of all types, and they were the first to have cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. So they know how to send money online. On top of it, at the same time the technology came out, we have geolocation software. And that software says where you're at. And now we have things like artificial intelligence and deep fakes and a whole lot of animation. And you can hide a lot of sins in animation. In fact, if you look at some of these video games out there, they're really scary just how sexual and then sometimes quite filthy that they are. And so all of this has happened with your young person. Let's say that your young person went online when they were 12. Okay, I'll pick a number. And now they're 14 or 15. And everybody's pretty comfortable with, they know, they'll be careful, Mom. You don't have to yell at me. I get it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we all get that. But what they may not understand is the power of the world they live in. Now, it's power for good. I mean, this is one reason I'm hoping you, Mom and Dad, will have this conversation. Your child is in one of the most unique times in all of history. For one thing, your child knows more about online technology than you do in most cases. And they're very good and very smart at it. On top of it, though, they're quite naive about who they're really talking to. You see, all of us go online and we see what we want to see, and we pretend the rest of that stuff we don't want to be hearing about is not out there. But it is out there. So let's sit down and talk with our kids and say, look, I know in the past I've said, you be careful, or if I ever catch you, blah, 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 you're going to be in trouble. Well, I'm not saying that's over. But what I am saying is that you've come to understand that your kid has an amazing opportunity to be a leader in using global technology safely. And it's really, really important that they learn to do that, because they are the leaders for the younger kids in your household, or nieces or nephews or cousins or whoever, but also for any other young people out there. Now, I've never met a kid yet that wanted to be exploited, but I've never met a kid yet that understood when they were about to be, okay? So it is up to us, mom and dad, to get in the know, to understand what is happening, and to figure out what to watch for. So a lot of kids, they'll come back with some sort of negative thing. Sit down with them and say, I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate you being a little defensive with me, because I do, we have rules here and it's like that. And I want to have a different kind of conversation. If you're going to be a leader in this kind of world, how are you going to know if you're being in a dangerous situation? Do you know who is online with you? Have you ever thought about who else is online? And talk about that. You might even want to pull up a YouTube and put in Nigerian scammers, Cambodian scammers. Put in scam farms, SCAM, and look at the scam farms. Those of you that listen to my podcast know that this is something I've talked about regularly, because I'm trying to get the word out across the world that this is one way that the world changed for your child and for you personally. So as developing countries came online, they decided that they could make millions of dollars from our kids. And they can, by the way, because until we prepare our kids to understand the world they live in, they're going to be setting ducks to be taken advantage of. So what will happen is that go onto scam farms and look at it. It's really, really sad to see. But I really hope that you will share this with your young person. If they're old enough to be online, then they are old enough to see that. Because to put a child online without describing the dangers so that they can understand it is really kind of like taking them down to a strip club and leaving them off and hope and pray your kid is really smart and survives. There are 5.5 billion people online with your child, and many of them are brilliant, wonderful people, but many of them are crooks. Many of them are horrible criminals. So when you look at a scam farm, what has happened is that those criminal organizations in poor countries have gone out and got poor people and tricked them into being embedded in a scam farm. A lot of these people are educated people, thought they were going to go to a different country and become an engineer. Others of them are just from the poor part of the country and they were looking for a job. But they are taken off to remote places and put in scam farms. And they themselves are a victim of trafficking. And it's important that your child understand that, because they're not there willingly. However, if they don't scam our children, they themselves are going to be violated, unless, of course, law enforcement can find them in time to rescue them and get them out of there. Now, most of them don't want to do it, but it's survival. They get electrocuted, they get beaten, they get raped. It's a bad deal if they don't get enough people that they're going to scam. And the reason that's important for your child to understand that is if they're online, they need to understand that the people that are trying to scam them are desperate people. And there's not much they won't do to your child. So some of the things that you want to share with your child is that they are literally pouring through millions of online communication interactions with people all over the world, trying to find someone they can scam. Now, in the case of our kids, they often look like, let's say you have a young man that's very successful. By the way, this is not just happening to off the edge kids that are about to be in trouble anyway. This is happening to the smartest, most brilliant, most successful teenagers. And what will happen is they'll be playing on a video game, or they will catch them at a weak moment. Trust me, we all have weak moments. So they'll catch on, maybe they just broke up with their girlfriend, or they're in a fight with mom and dad, or they're about to flunk out of some class, or they don't feel well, or they're not getting along with their best friend, whatever it is, they'll catch them in a weak moment. And suddenly it'll look like a hot 14-year-old girl if your kid is 14 to 17 years old. Now, one of the things you need to explain to your child is, or your young person now, okay, is that with AI and all the information online, that they are a sitting duck to be targeted. In fact, you might go online with your young person and Google yourself. And, go through all the different technologies, social media sites, Google your young person. You see, what happens in these scam farms is because they have the same technology we have, they often will get a profile of the person that they're going to try to scam. If it's a highly successful young man, maybe he's gotten a scholarship. Maybe he's about to be recruited for some football team. Maybe he's a homecoming king, or maybe he's and won a spelling bee. Whatever it is, that information is out there. And so what the other information that is out there, once they know you, is they can often target all the people on your Instagram list and your TikTok list. So these people aren't just going to cold call you and see how that works out. They often know about you. And so they'll come on and they start looking like your friend. One of the things your kid needs to know about is the most common approach is they're a friend of a friend. So how do you teach your child to verify if they're a friend of a friend? What you do is you talk with them and say, okay, who all that you're friends with, you need to decide between the group of you that you're going to have a code word between you. By the way, every family needs a code word too, a different code word. But if you're going to have a couple of good friends online, you need code words, because they'll come on and go, oh, I'm, this person, your son or your daughter will say, I don't know you. And they'll go, well, I'm a friend of Bob or Joe's or whoever, Jason now, okay, and Tyrone and all these other names. Anyway, my point is they'll be a friend of a friend. And your kid will just go, oh, well, that must be okay. Talk about with your young person, how to evaluate a friend of a friend. How do you know they're really a friend of a friend? And if they are, how did they reach you? And so I highly recommend that you either teach your young person to say, okay, what's their code word? Because we have code words between us. Or two, let me check about that. How do I contact you? And I'll get back to you. But never just accept a friend of a friend. That is often the way that this starts. The other thing that will happen is that this generation of young people, for whatever reason, think nothing of putting sexual and nudity images online. I'm going to share with you that has to stop from this day forward. And that needs to be an important part of that conversation. In the past, we know that 1 out of 6 boys and 1 out of 7 girls have sent a nude. But that must stop today. And here's why. When it was going on before, the world was not globally connected. And you might have got away with it, although you really don't know where that nude went. But now the world is globally connected. Do you know that they actually found a child pornography site? We now call that child sexual abuse material, CSAM. They found a site with 1.8 million users. They're absolutely massive. So if your teenager connects with somebody who's seducing them into sending some sort of seductive image, may not be a full nude, they don't care. They're a minor. If they get that and it goes out to one of those CSAM sites, it will go to 1.8 million people in a heartbeat before you can even finish your sentence. Because that is exactly why predators are trying to get the nudes, is to share it with other predators. So the first thing that will often happen if you're a young male is that the girl will send some sort of seductive imagery with you. So let's back up a minute. They won't start off that way. The first thing they'll do is they'll try to get you to move from one app to the other. If you happen to be on a dating site, they may say, hey, this is kind of private. Let's move offline. That should be a big hint. I say, run, baby, run. Now, I know a lot of people met on dating sites and teenagers meet on dating sites. But if they immediately try to take you offline off a dating site, pay attention to that. Maybe you're on TikTok and they want to move you over to Instagram or Snapchat or one of the others. Pay attention. That is a huge red flag, especially if you've just started the relationship with them and they're a friend of a friend and now they're trying to move you off that app. Why? Why are they trying to do that? So this is the kind of positive conversations you can have with your kid. Why do you think that's happening? Well, it's because of the latest technologies that are out there. If they can move you off it from one app to the other, they're trying to verify that you're not undercover law enforcement. And they're also trying to verify that your child is willing to follow them. Another huge red flag is, this is our little secret, don't tell anybody. Let's just keep this between ourselves. Those ought to be huge red flag. Think about a bull charging towards a red cape. That ought to be that, okay? Because if you can't tell, who are you really talking to? And why does it have to be a secret? What are they trying to hide? And that's a very important conversation to have with them. So they move you and you can't tell. And the third one that is a huge red flag is they send you something that's provocative and you feel the need to reciprocate. Okay, where's yours? Wait just a minute. I never asked for that and I don't want it. And if you don't know me really, and you're willing to send me something that could get me in trouble, you are not my friend. So I am going to report this right now, and I'm hanging up. And that's what we need to teach our children. Here are some red flags that you are talking. I don't care how cute they look. You have to understand that if they're willing to compromise you by sending something that is provocative, they don't care about you. And they don't care what happens to you if you get caught with that image on your phone. Actually, if it's someone under the age of 18, that is child pornography. We lovingly call that CSAM, okay? But those three red flags are some of the most important conversations to have with your child. Somebody comes to you out of the clear blue, they're a friend of a friend. You start talking. Maybe they move you from the dating site or move you to a different app. They tell you that they're a friend of a friend, but you can't really verify that right then. They can't give you a code word, and now they're sending you provocative stuff. I want you to realize that anybody that does that is 98% chance that they are not looking out for your best interest. You see, with literally 5.5 billion people online, and now a whole lot of people overseas that are very poor, that are looking to blackmail you to get money and get more photos, is someone who is going to change your life forever. So here's count 1, 2, 3. Pay attention to them. I'm asking you not to fall for them. And in fact, if you have any doubt at all, come to me. You're not going to get in trouble. In fact, I'll be proud of you that you're smart enough to realize that this is a trap. And I've always wanted to make a video, a 1-minute video for TikTok with 5 kids going, never, never, never again will I send a nude. I did. He said he loved me. She was hot. And now they want money. Now they're blackmailing me. Now they're trying to ruin my life. Never, never, never again will I send a nude online. I want to make that 1-minute video. And I want to do that to remind kids, you might have got away with it in the past, and some of your friends have gotten away with it in the past. But in the last couple of years, all this technology changed. And we can't get away with it the way that we once did. So we talk about why that those days are over. Sending a nude online will not just get you in trouble with me. It can cost you everything you know. The other reason why this is so important is because of artificial intelligence. Because now, in the last couple of years, they have deep fakes. That is artificial intelligence that takes the body off of one person and puts a head on it, or a head on a person and puts a naked body on it. So in the future, any images online is going to be dangerous for you and your child, because your child will most likely be perfectly innocent. But the next thing you know, it's all over school and you're going, wait a minute, that's not me. That's not me. What do I do? That's not me. Well, the first thing that I think is important in that conversation is that you get your child to understand, if that happens to you, you come to me, because there will be the two of us together. Together, we will be stronger and we can take this on. Don't hide it. Trust me enough to come with me. Now, I promise I'm going to change my attitude if you'll change yours. This whole thing is so scary and so dangerous. We have to work together to protect each other. I'm not looking just to take your device. I mean, obviously, if you're doing something that is extremely dangerous and you're lying to me and you're being corrupt, well, yeah, we'll talk about that. But I see this as a partnership between you and me, that we have to take a look and learn all this together. And I give you my word, I don't know how to operate a lot of this, but you can teach me what I need to know on it. I want you to be a leader in the most important generation of young people that's ever lived. And I expect you to be a leader for the young people in our family, and the nieces and the nephews and all the rest of them. Now, I also understand you're probably going to make some mistakes, okay? I'm going to make some mistakes. You're not the only one being targeted. I mean, adults are being targeted too, men and women. So we've got to start to look out for each other as a family. I want us to get a code word as a family so that if somebody's trying to dupe us, we can verify that it's each other. But I also want to learn this new technology together. I promise I'm going to study it. And by the way, you can continue to listen to Million Kids podcasts. I'm going to do a part 2 on this very subject. I hope you'll listen to it. I hope you'll share these with everyone you know. You see, we need to put the wagging finger down, Mom and Dad. And we need to have these honest conversations, because it isn't that we don't trust our child. It is that neither you nor I nor them have ever walked this walk before. This is all brand new technology, which we have never seen before. And now we have to find ways to learn about it and to share about it and protect each other. So my name is Opal Singleton. I'm the president and CEO of an organization called Million Kids, MILLION, millionkids.org. If you have not signed up for our podcast, please do that. I'd appreciate it. I hope that you will share these podcasts with everybody, and I hope you'll share our newsletter with other people. We are here because we are committed to keeping kids safe from predators. We're a fairly small organization. We've been in business 15 years. Many of us are either retired law enforcement or working with law enforcement. One of them is a private investigator. And we care deeply about kids and getting them ready for this next generation of technology. So we're not a big organization. However, we are a nonprofit. So if you want to support our work, I can't tell you how much it means to us, all of us. We're a small organization. We run on a thin line, and we need every donation we can get to be able to get this message out there. I hope you will buy my ebook, Digital Warfare, when it comes out. Should be in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I hope that you will have these open and honest conversations with your family. So the next podcast will be in a continuation of this, so stay tuned. Put your arms around your family and let them know how much you love them, how proud you are of them, and I'll see you on the next podcast.